All of a sudden, everyone seems to be caring about thin and light smartphones. Wonder why that could be. Welcome back to SamMobile TV. You're here with Daniel. Earlier this year, when Samsung launched the Galaxy S25 Edge, people questioned it. Well, they didn't so much as question it as say that no one was actually asking for it. And that was their question, I guess. Now, in September, Apple releasing the iPhone Air. And all of a sudden, that whole questioning about no one asking for thin phones seems to have at least disappeared. At least for now. That might change. But what I want to do is remind you of the value of the S25 Edge and why people were wrong to question it earlier this year. Let's start with the design. The S25 Edge, with its 5.8mm frame, is only 163 grams in weight. That, for me, is the big thing about this phone, is that when you pick it up, you are holding this really lightweight phone. The thinness is great, and that feels kind of crazy, but it's the fact that it's so light. 163 grams in your hand for a phone with a screen size of 6.7 inches beggars belief. You can't really believe you're holding a phone this lightweight and this thin with a screen size that's so big. The iPhone Air, 5.6mm thin with a 6.5-inch display, so it's going to be smaller, but it is a little bit thinner. However, like I said, the biggest advantage of this phone is its weight. The iPhone Air is actually 2 grams heavier than the S25 Edge, topping in at 165 grams. Whatever, it's 2 grams. Realistically, who cares? They're both going to be light, they're both thin, they both meet the category that has been started by this phone of being lightweight and thin. But which phone has made the bigger sacrifice? We think one has sacrificed more than the other, at least on paper. The S25 Edge, Samsung put in dual cameras. So you've got the 12-megapixel macro-capable ultra-wide, which is the same as the ultra-wide camera from the S24 Ultra. Great, fantastic ultra-wide camera. Not the best one Samsung offer, but it's also the same one that's on the Fold 7. The main camera is this 200-megapixel camera, which is the same as the main camera as the S25 Ultra. 1.3-inch sensor size, that 200-megapixel resolution, quad-pixel autofocus, really provides a lot. Great sensor, even if it's slightly starting to show its age a little bit now. But it's a flagship one. It's one that's on Samsung's flagship camera. There's less compromises here when it comes to camera. The iPhone Air, single camera lens, 48 megapixel. Not confirmed yet what camera it actually is, but it's definitely not using the iPhone 17 Pro Max's camera. That can be ruled out for sure. But it's a single camera. Apple advertise it as 2. That's a whole different story. But there is no option for ultra-wide, and you don't get that flexibility of a proper telephoto, which you don't get here. So at least that's even. But 200 megapixel does give you at least a better digital crop. So realistically, if Apple are advertising 2 cameras, Samsung could technically advertise 3 with the Edge. Next thing is the performance and the battery. Samsung got hammered when the Edge came out because it only had a 3,900 milliamp hour battery. I was concerned just because of the fact that the optics on paper don't necessarily look great when you consider that Samsung have needed bigger capacity batteries to get longer battery life. But in usage, the 3,900 milliamp hour capacity has actually surprised me. It's been very, very good in my usage with it, giving me good screen on time and giving me long battery life. And I think a lot of that's down to the density of the battery. The iPhone Air, unconfirmed 3,100 milliamp hour capacity, and apparently with improved density as well. Apple seemed to be able to get good battery out of their phones, so potentially there'll be a way that it could come close to this. But the fact they're selling a purpose-built MagSafe battery pack just for the Air sort of lends itself to thinking that they know it's not going to be good. So here's an accessory to fix the problem, but then also create a problem with extra thickness. You get my point now. Okay, camera, battery. I've said things like that they don't matter on a thin phone. You're not buying it for those things. You're buying it for the fact that you get the thin form factor. So maybe people aren't going to care. Sure. What else is compromised? Well, with the S25 Edge, the thinness sort of compromised the speaker. because of the fact that it, couldn't push out a thick chamber here, Samsung didn't really give you the best speaker experience, but they still gave you two. You've got the bottom firing one here, and you've got the one in the speaker slot up the top. The iPhone Air only has one speaker. So they've compromised again, camera, battery, and now sound experience with the iPhone Air. And seeing how it's thinner than this, there's potentially going to be problems with the sound coming out of that speaker too. Now, is there things about the iPhone and the Air model that are better than the Edge? Yes, absolutely. The processor, the A19 Pro, will probably have a higher performance ceiling than what the Edge does. Not going to dispute that. Be silly if I did. Also, the selfie camera, having that sort of new center stage feature where it actually will have a landscape crop while being held in portrait. I can see a lot of people appreciating that. I'll give them that. And probably the coating on the display. Samsung's biggest failure this year was not putting that anti-reflective coating on all their phones. The fact that it's not on the Edge, but it is only on the Ultra, is really upsetting to me, especially when you hold it up to light. Like, you can just see that difference. I'm really bothered that Samsung didn't do it, actually. That, for me, not even camera failures this year. Their biggest failure is not bringing that coating to more displays. But whilst that chip will have that higher performance ceiling, that doesn't mean that it actually can do more. Because the Edge, well, with the chip and the capabilities that Samsung have enabled from it, you've got things like 8K video recording, where because you've got that main camera with 200 megapixels, Samsung have enabled 8K 30 recording, which the iPhone Air does not have. Samsung have also put Samsung DeX in here. So the fact that you get DeX in this package is a great thing to offer, because it means that you're going to get not just a phone, but you get an extended desktop experience when you plug this into a monitor or connect it to a TV wirelessly. iPhone doesn't offer that. So on paper, the S25 Edge just offers you more. And the iPhone Air comes in cheaper. Well, Samsung go on sale a lot, so that's not always going to be the case. You might be able to pick this up for way cheaper. Like right now in Australia, this is reduced heavily at the minute, and I guess that's timely because of the way things are going with the Air. Which one do you think is the better choice? Curious, With the iPhone Air, you get iOS, and a lot of people just blindly will support a phone with iOS on it, regardless of the capabilities of the hardware. But the other thing is that if you just put them next to each other, the iPhone Air is a really bad buy compared to this. If you want access to a thin and light phone, but don't want to compromise on the overall smartphone experience, this is the choice. If you just want a thin and light phone that has the Apple logo on it, then the Air is going to be great for you. Go ahead and go get it. But on the Samsung side of the fence, they've got an option for you. And realistically, it's the better choice if you remove platforms and everything out of the equation, just on a pure hardware level. This is better. Let us know your thoughts in the comments though. I'd be curious to know whether you care about either phone, whether the iPhone has made you interested in thin phones all of a sudden, or whether you just never cared to begin with. Let us know. Hit subscribe while you're down there to SamMobile TV. Go check out our website for any other sort of Samsung content that you're interested in. Find us in our socials, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks.